Yo, this is James Nice Out Tony, the one and only. You are tuning into Philly Fight World. You see me? BAM!
Welcome. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another edition of Philly Fight World. As you know how I always start off, there's fight news, there's fight analysis. This is Philly Fight World with your host, none other than me, Blake Anthony, and Mr. DJ Sully himself. And we're here with the guest today. We're going to give her a proper introduction. I'll give you just a piece of what she got going on. 11-0, 63.64 percentage on the knockout rating. Undefeated boxer. With 9 consecutive victories and 7 by knockout. I'll make sure I think that's right. It's about right. Unless you're wrong, but I think it's about right. And we'll give you a little intro to who she is. And if you don't, you're gonna find out here in a second. Check this out.
Piece was so incredible. So I ended up getting to go to Rio as a chaplain, doing exactly why I started my Olympic journey in the first place, which was to proclaim the gospel, to share the love of Jesus and, make his name famous. And that's just why the whole purpose of why I box anyways, and just a piece of my story and just the beginning. And there's been several times looking back at my story, I knew that I was too far gone. I knew that there was no going back. That's just what the enemy wants. He wants us to believe those lies. What God says about us is that you're never too far gone, ever. He meets us exactly where we are. And there, I call it my dark ages, the times of my life where all I see is darkness. And I look back at those times and I see Jesus in them.
And right now, you're seeing none other than Sammy, the Heat, Worthington in the building. What is going on?
Man, that got me. I was not expecting that part of my story. That was really emotional. Because that's it. That's who I am. I mean, God got me here, and I'm excited to just give him glory through everything.
You wouldn't be the first to cry on here. We had Jim Lantley on here crying, so you wouldn't be the first guy.
Oh, wow. That's powerful.
Definitely.
Yeah, so Sammy, for those who don't know much about you, of course, we know. Why don't you give them a piece of who you are?
So like you had said, I am an undefeated professional boxer. I'm 11-0 with 7 knockouts. And I'm signed under Claressa Shields T-Rex Promotions and Salida Promotions. And I have my next fight July 26th. I'm fighting on Claressa's card on the main card, and I'm fighting for the WBA Interim World Championship. So I'm super excited to get, one of my first big belts and just keep climbing from there.
And there you have it.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
Congratulations on the opportunity.
Thank you. Yes, I can't wait. This is definitely the biggest opportunity I've gotten thus far. And I pray over a word for every year. And the word this year has been more. And I just see so much more after this fight. Like, this is just the beginning. And I feel like, I've already had, I'm 11-0. So I've already had a full career. But, this is just the cusp of what God has for me. And I just can't wait.
Yeah, definitely. Before I ask you this question, where can people purchase tickets for the fight?
You can get tickets on Ticketmaster. If you go on my social media, it's at Sammy_the Heat. I have a link tree, and it's the first link. You can get tickets straight from there, and it's going to be live on DAZN as well.
Yeah, and if you guys still can't find it, I will have it in the description of this interview, so you can just click it and go right there. You talk about one thing I loved in that little. I know it was a big interview. Mm-hmm. I put that part because I say this, and Sully says this all the time. Boxing, it's gotten that you already know where I'm going, Sully. Boxing it's gotten back to where it is because we're interested in the stories of boxers now. That's what made people fall in love with boxers, because people's journeys to where they're at. Everybody's is different. Some people came out the mud. Some people, like you said, you found a calling. He's like, I love doing this, and I can use this platform to promote Jesus, to promote faith. Everybody has their why, and this is just yours.
Yeah, and it's interesting. I recently said this to my coach. People say that boxing saved their life. That's a lot of what people's stories entail. And I don't believe that about my story. I believe that God used boxing to save my life. and he deserves the true glory for that. And that to me is so much bigger than the sport. And so I get to do boxing not because I have to, but because I love it. Like you mentioned that it's a call of my life. Like that's what I feel. I feel so at home in the ring, and I just feel like it's just a gift that God has given me, that I get to use as a tool,
Exactly. Sully, you got something for?
Yeah, that's big. And like Blake said, we like to hear the journey. We like to hear individuals' journey, how they got here. And I think that, and me and Blake talk about it plenty of times. I think that's those people, your story, other people's story, that's what's being lost in boxing. And that's what we like to try to focus on, and what's bringing boxing back, and the key on people's story. So everyone has a unique story. You have a unique story, and that's why we're here. That's why you're here. That's why we brought you on, just to hear from you and learn from you.
Just a little girl from Kentucky.
There you go.
Kentucky girl turned Cali girl.
So I'm assuming you're a Wildcat fan. I'm assuming you're a Wildcat fan, right?
Oh my gosh, go Cats! Yeah, don't even get me started.
Just want to make sure. Want to make sure. So 11-0. The crazy part is how much in all has it been? You get to spar with the Claressa Shields. Let me just jump right into that. Let me not even act
Let's
like
just go straight to.
Let me just jump right into it.
Yep.
What's that? So what is that like? Was you like, damn, I'm in here with Claressa Shields right now? Like, tell me what that.
It's so crazy because I've known Claressa. We met in 2013 because we were on the Youth World Championship team together. And I had met her at tournaments before, but that's like when I really got to know her. And we just clicked from the very beginning. Like we were sisters on that team from the jump. And it was super cool because she was 165. I was the 152 fighter. So we were the closest in weight. And we always joke that nobody else wanted to spar her. And so I was like, I'll spar you. And so we did a round or two. And it's cool because, she respected me for not fearing her, but then I'm respecting her because of who she is. It was just like such an honor for me to share the ring with her in that moment, in that one, space and time. But now getting to actually like learn from her, be her, I feel like she's my mentor. So like be her mentee in the pro ranks now, like, cause that was amateur. And so to get to like really just be poured into by her now, it's like I see, my opponents, like who they're sparring and who they're bringing, and I'm like, I don't even care because I literally have the best sparring that you could ever have ever. Like it just doesn't matter to me because I'm like, I am literally training with the best in the world, like bar none.
They say steel, steel sharpens steel, as they say. So
right? Exactly,
I'm sure those workouts.
And like I said, you're getting best of the best every day. You get to pick her brain, see how she. And that's another part we talk about boxing because a lot of people who aren't into the know of boxing, they just think you guys just hit each other in the head. Like, no, there's camps in boxing, there's training for boxing, there's preparation before all that, and then of course the all clerical part where the money, the purse, and all that stuff. Like there's different sides in the boxing, and we love to talk about those stories, but. Back on that, it's just a great honor that you get to spar against all the time, and you got to respect her because you did not fear her or feel some type of way. And, Claressa is a very outspoken person, and I think a lot of people, I'm sure a lot of people look at her different. They say she's too outspoken on the internet and things like that. I mean, tell us, like, do you think people misinterpret her? Do you think they're misunderstanding who she is? Because a lot of people have a lot of negative attention toward her. And I think, honestly, me and Sully love her. I said, but I just think people put just a negative light on her because she speaks out a lot.
Well, people, they don't want, number one, a lot of times people don't want to hear the truth and they fear, like you said, like outspoken people. They fear confident people that are sure of themselves. And it's really can be intimidating. And, being in a male dominated sport, as a woman, like
Mm.
you kind of have to be thick-skinned. You have to be confident in yourself.
Mm.
Like she just gets a lot of backlash because she is who she is, like because she's on the level that she is. Like a lot of us women in boxing are like that. Like we are strong-willed, opinionated people, and that intimidates a lot of people. And if you really were to, that's another thing that is so cool about being in camp with Claressa, is not just getting to spar with her, but like getting to actually spend time with her. Like we're friends. Like we're not just like, oh, she's my promoter, she's my, you know, training partner, whatever. Like she is one of my best friends. Like I love her. And so getting to actually spend time with her, talk about life, talk about boxing, like get to actually endure camp together. Like if people were able to just like sit down with Claressa and just get to know who she was, like you would see that she has a beautiful heart. Like that's really who she is. Like a lot of times people will like take bits and pieces of what she says or maybe how she says it and try to judge her because of that, but that's like just a piece of actually who Claressa Shields truly is.
Facts.
Mm.
And you know, I'll say this because I won't make you say it. I'll say it for you. It's me and Sue were just talking about this pre-production. I did stories in an article years ago about the women's soccer team and how they were winning golds and they wanted to get paid more money. And the reason I bring this up for the viewers, I'm bringing this up because of why people think she's outspoken, and I'm gonna bring it all together in the end. So I did about that. I had no idea that Claressa was on that team at that time. She was on the Olympic team at that time with Phelps and all those guys. And you never heard one damn word about Claressa the whole time because I followed all of it. You never heard one damn word about Claressa Shields the whole time. So bringing all that in perspective, coming out, not getting endorsements like she thought she was, all that story, bring it up to now. People tend to do that when they feel like they've earned the right to be on that same platform, to be that same level. So if nobody else is going to talk about me, then I might as well talk about myself and my accomplishment, because since nobody else does for whatever reason, because you won't, lack for better word, kiss nobody's ass to do so. So, you know what I'm saying? So you got to do what you got to do sometimes. And like some people won't understand that. And I get it. Totally. I get it. So in life, you understand, Sam and Sully, sometimes you got to look at why people do things, look at it from their perspective and not just your own.
Mm.
Right, exactly. It's like she wasn't getting the love and the recognition that she really deserved and she had earned. And so, you know, she had to do a lot of the speaking up for herself. And like I said, people are intimidated by that. It's just, it is abnormal in their minds. So it's wrong. But that's not true.
No,
Mm-hmm.
because you're not looking at it from what's her reality, not what's your reality. It's what her reality is. She's living.
Right.
So you got anything to add?
Yeah, and just to piggyback on that, a lot of people, I think some people, they don't look at the reality of someone else. And so telling your story is something that we have to do, especially when you're in that limelight and you have the camera right in front of you. You know, she's telling her story. And kudos to her because, you know, she has a story. She has a journey. And just like you, Sammy, you know, we have to inform people of what we believe in. This is why I'm here. And if you don't agree with it, you don't agree with it. You don't have to agree with it. You don't have to. We all have our own story. So kudos to her.
Yeah, kudos to both of y'all. Kudos to y'all. Like I said, everybody's story is different. So you said something we were going to talk about, and you mentioned it when you told everybody about who you are. You mentioned, I think you are, if you correct me if I'm wrong, the first signed to T-Rex promotion. Is that correct, right?
Yes.
So I think that's cool. Like I said, we're big on women's sports, women's boxing especially. So do you think I know you think it's great. I think it's awesome that you guys are trying to put people forward, women's forward, to get paid that they should get paid, because y'all been underpaid for far too long. And you and Jake Paul's team and all these guys, like, how do you feel about all of that? With what Claressa's doing, what Jake's doing, like, what's your perspective in all that?
Well, you know, back to what we were talking about with Claressa and just she's really a pioneer for the sport, not just for women's boxing, but just for boxing in general. And that is another reason why people are like, they question her, because she's doing things that people have never done. And it really is not just in the ring. Like, now she's started to do things that people have never done outside the ring, and it affects me. Like, I am the first fighter that she assigned, and now she has two fighters, but I was the first one, and obviously the first female.
Mhm.
And so getting to be a part of that, like trailblazing, has been such a gift to me, because she is where all of us want to be in women's boxing. Like, she is at the top, and
Mhm.
really men too, but just speaking of women's boxing specifically, she's where I am going to be. Like, she is taking me under her wing, so to speak, and helping me climb. And she's done it, so like, who better to learn from? And for her to take this step into the promotion side of things, I think was like super brave and really smart, because like I said, she's been there. So like, who better to help fighters get to where she is than her? And so it really is it it's gonna be super great for women's boxing. And what Jake is doing, like, aside from like some I guess I have opinions about him as a fighter, just like kind of coming on the scene,
We
but
were just
aside
talking
from
about
that,
that.
as a
Mhm.
promoter, like, at point blank period, he is putting women's boxing on the map as well. Like,
Yep.
we have to acknowledge that. Like,
Definitely.
people are interested in women's boxing because of him, and that is great. Like, that affects me positively, it affects boxing positively, so that's awesome.
Definitely. I love to see the camaraderie between women boxers. I think
Yeah.
I sent you a message. I told you about O'Shea Jones,
Yeah.
who trains in Philadelphia, and conversations with her. We have another female boxer, Stasia Subtle. She boxes in the TCL league. She's a good friend of ours. So when I talk to, and yourself, when I talk to you all, I love to hear the camaraderie that you all have, and y'all knowing each other. I'll mention a name to one, they'll say, "Oh yeah, I know her," and so and so and so and so. And so y'all all have this same journey, this same story, and it's cool to know that you all are kind of tight knit like that, even though y'all competitors, of course. But there's a tight knit relationship. You all knowing each other. Can you speak on that?
Yeah, I think that it really is just about women supporting women. Like, we all know the struggle that it is being a woman boxer, like being in a male dominated sport. I said it before, say it again. Like, it's hard. We don't get the recognition we deserve, we don't get the pay that we deserve. And Claressa, just speaking on her again, like, being able to be friends with her, and yeah, I obviously meet a lot of people through her, but then also on my own, like, just being the high amateur fighter that I was, and now climbing the pro ranks. Like, we actually really do support each other. Like, we actually do want to see each other succeed. And as much as Claressa gets hate for X, Y, and Z, like, she truly wants to see every woman succeed. Like, apart from her opponent who is facing her, like,
Yeah, all right.
she really does. And even past opponents, like, I look at her relationship with Franchon Cruz Dezern, like that. And I have my own relationship with her because of being on Team USA with her as well. And like, her just encouraging me in the amateurs, and, getting to be poured into by her as well. Like, it's just really beautiful to see that example, because that's what it's all about. Like, we want to see everybody succeed. Like, it at the end of the day, it's a sport, and a career. And so we're not like, we don't hate each other. I mean, yes, there might be some bad blood between some rivals, whatever, but like, I feel like at the end of the day, like, we actually do want to see each
Right.
other and one another succeed. I think that sometimes is not as represented in the men's side of boxing.
Mm, yeah, agree.
I like how you worded that. Well,
Agree.
I want to ask it, but I kind of don't want to ask it. All right, I'm gonna ask it.
Ask it.
What is the beef though between Serrano and Shields? What's going on with that? She constantly takes jabs on social media at Claressa. I know y'all see it.
Yes.
I said, what's the deal?
I'm going to speak on it from just what I see
Yeah.
outside.
Yeah.
Because, you know, I am close with Claressa. What I see on the outside is, I don't know if it's like part of a PR stunt or what, because, you know, they're the two top women fighters right now, like, and obviously Katie Taylor, you know, they're
Right.
at the top. Claressa is the GOAT. Like, that's my opinion.
Absolutely. Cheer her
I
on.
actually don't think it's an opinion. I think it's a fact. Anyway, but we won't,
It is
speak
fact.
on that. I think it's fact.
Fact.
But no, that does not belittle what Amanda Serrano has done, and, you know, her resume and the steps that she has taken for women's boxing. And I think that that laid a good foundation for now what Claressa is doing. And I think that it goes back to what I was saying. Like, we really should just be supporting one another. And that would actually be the best way to get women's boxing to where we all want it to be. But as far as where Claressa stands, she supports Amanda. Like, she is a fan of Amanda Serrano. And so I just can't, from the outside looking in, I don't know where some of the disdain comes from on her side. Again, maybe it's a PR stunt. I don't know. I don't know Amanda personally. So I'm not sure, but I know Claressa, and I know how she speaks behind closed doors about Amanda, and like, she does support both of them. Amanda, Katie, like, she wants to see women's boxing succeed. Like, that is her ultimate goal in her heart. So
I believe that, because I remember the argument going back. Like I said, it could go back further. I know it was Amanda put out that that her and Katie was the most watched, most viewed fight, women's fight, and Claressa's argument to that was, well, you were the undercard of Jake Paul versus Tyson. Mine was a women's promoted fight, which technically she's right. Claressa's right. And she wasn't mean and nasty about it. She just said that. And then now you just keep seeing these things that Serrano puts up. Well, people are quoting me this because she just got put, as we talked to Jim Lampley, she just got put on the Gaddy list. And then she puts, well, you can't talk your way into these lists. Like, she takes little shots like that, but we know what she's talking about. But it's just stuff like that. Like I said, to me, trash talking is always good for any sport. It's good because it gets people to watch, because people love drama. We love the drama, right? We love it. Like I said, I don't think it's a bad thing, but that's good that you cleared that. She still loves Serrano, support each other. And I think that she wants to go to the fight too. She don't know if she can go or not. I can't remember if Claressa put that on there, but I know she wants to. She definitely supports Serrano.
right, and that's like, you know, if she ends up being there, it's because she paid for a ticket, because they, you know, they put out that they weren't going to comp her ticket, which most fights and promoters do because of who Claressa is. Not that she's asking for handouts, because she doesn't need them.
Respect.
But if Claressa is there, it's because Claressa wants to support women's boxing. You know, so that would be the true, like, picture of who Claressa is. So we will see, you know, next weekend.
Definitely. Yeah. I remember that too. She was talking about the ticket thing. I remember that. Silly, you got something? I forgot I had something.
Yeah, and you all are pushing the sport. You all are pushing women's boxing. Where it is now is light years away from where it was 5 years ago. You know what I'm saying? And it's in its baby form right now, and it's maturing. People like you said, like people like Claressa and Serrano and so and so. You all are pushing the sport, and with talent. That's the key. You know, you all are doing it with the talent.
Ain't no scrub.
And no, you guys can fight. You know what I'm saying? Listen. I've viewed plenty of women sparring and a bunch of men in the gym, and the women's sparring has everyone attention because you all are having an extra incentive. You know what I'm saying? You all, of course, you love the sport, but you know, you pushing. You know, y'all pushing the sport, and y'all want to be great at it, and it's seen. It's definitely seen. So keep doing what you're doing. Keep doing what you're doing. You talked about your amateur career. How was that experience? Yeah, how was that experience with the U.S. team?
That was incredible. I always say that yeah, I'm 11-0, but if you look at who I've gotten to fight, I've only maybe had a couple opponents that were on that world championship level right now because I'm still building and I'm still growing. But I never negate the fact that I have shared the ring with world champions. Like
Right.
I have been in fights with world champions. I've sparred with multiple time world champions besides Claressa. Obviously, we talked about her already, but my amateur experience was priceless. I mean, you always start 0-0 when you turn pro. It's a completely different game, but you cannot negate the experience that you get as an amateur. Like it really is something that you can't overlook, and you really can't get anywhere else. Like you can try to mimic it in sparring, but like being under the lights, going overseas into another country, you're looked at in weird ways. Like it's you can't recreate it. You have to experience it. And so I'm so thankful for the amateur experience that I got, being alongside all of the fighters that I was getting to share the ring with them. Like it is incredible, and it set me up really well as a pro.
Definitely, especially the rise up to that. Speaking of that, it reminds me of Clarissa's story. Did you find your rival yet? You got one yet? Hers was Marshall growing up. Did you find yours yet? You got your rival yet?
No, because all my rivals are whoever's got the belt. So like I can have multiple rivals. Right now it's Kenny Taylor, so we'll see.
There you go.
Tell them they can't see me yet. Can't see me.
Right.
There you go.
I'll say that to them. Sue, you got something? What you got?
No, it's well, going back to your amateur career, and even now, what would you say was your hardest fight, toughest fight?
Oh, that's a good question. Because it's so different. In the amateurs, obviously we have headgear, but it's faster paced, and you're fighting multiple times within a week, and you have to make weight every single day. So I would say so. A little bit of my story. I was, on Team USA a couple times. The last time was in 2015. I was the 152-pound again representative, and I had just accepted Christ February 8th, 2015. And this was in April, like March into April. And I ended up getting to lead Claressa to Christ on that trip. And I just remember like seeing God work through the sport of boxing in a way that I had never seen. I mean, I was a baby Christian and I was just starting my relationship with him, and so getting to know him better, and I just felt this like very strong call to go for the Olympics. And I was like, Lord, there's only 3 weight classes for women, and one of them was 165, and then the one under me was 132, and I was like smack dab in the middle. Like, do I gain 13 pounds or do I lose 20? Like, neither one is easy. And I just remembered the Lord telling me specifically that 165 was for Claressa, because Claressa asked me, she was like, if you do decide to go for this Olympics, like, why not just come up to 165? And I mean, it was very clear, because again, I'm like, if I don't think that the Lord would ever call this to come into play, but if we were ever to fight, like, I would trust that that's what God ordained. But it was very clear that that's not what he had. That wasn't his plan. And so, I let her know that, and she was like, okay, well, have fun cutting those 2 weight classes. And I did. I did in a few months, and because I had only one more qualifier. All the other qualifiers for the trials had passed. And so I had one more. And I had never fought, obviously, at 132. I'd cut the weight, but like I didn't know how I would perform. The qualifier was in Baltimore. So we almost made the trip to Philly, but we ended up just driving back to Kentucky. But we, it was just me and my mom. My coach actually was going through cancer treatments at the time. And so he couldn't make it. I literally told USA Boxing staff when I was registering that Jesus was my coach. I didn't have a coach. Franchon Cruz, she actually wrapped my hands. So because my mom didn't know how to wrap hands. So I just kind of like built a team of people when I was there, but I had to fight 5 times in a row because I was the lowest. Like I wasn't seated at all. Like I just was the one at the bottom of the bracket, and I knew that going in. Like I was fine with that. But my third fight, so I ended up stopping the first 2 girls in the first and the second round. And so I made a still had to cut weight, you know, do the thing. But I was like, okay, Lord, like I can feel your strength on me. And then my third fight, this was the fight before the one to qualify for the trials, because the fourth fight was whether or not I was going to make the trials or not. I had to fight Rashida Ellis. And I knew Rashida, she was one of the favorites for the whole tournament. It was her and Tiara Brown. 'Cause, you know, Tiara, that was like her hometown area. And so
very good.
that's who was in my weight class. Like,
Wow.
fighting like, you know, the top of the whole weight class. And I remember because again, never fought at this weight class. I'm coming from 152, so I'm obviously stronger. But these girls are fast. You know, they got up that I've never felt before. And I remember I was actually down, I think, on the scorecard. See, this was back when we did 4 2-minute rounds instead of the 3 threes that they have now. And so I was down on the scorecards, but I didn't know that. I just kind of could feel that because Rashida was tough. Like, she was hitting me in the body like I'd never been hit. And I just remember, like, literally, my mom still talks about this. Like, there was some kind of supernatural something that came over me. And I just start yelling in the corner. Like, I'm hauling off on Rashida. And then they give her an 8 count. And I was like, no way. Rashida Ellis? I just 8 counted Rashida Ellis. And so I ended up winning a split decision, actually, because of that. And so that I don't, because she's a tough girl, like, don't get me wrong. But it wasn't even just that she was so tough. It was just that, like, everything surrounding the fight too that made that one probably my hardest amateur fight. And then my third fight, I had, as a pro, I had stopped both of my first opponents in the first round. And I fought this girl. Actually, now we're like super good friends. She's from the Bay Area, so close to where I live in California. And she had an 0-1 record, but she went the distance with like a high, like 11-time national champion amateur. So like a high ranked amateur. So I was like, okay, this girl, she's going to be tough. Well, she's Tongan. And I don't know if you know anything about Tongan people, but they are tough as nails. And I had never, I'd been hit, obviously, as an amateur. But, like, as a pro, I stopped the first 2 girls in the first round. Like, I'd never been hit. And I remember we jabbed at the same time. And I felt, like, how just strong she was. Just, like, literally just the weight behind her punch. And I was like, okay, like, this is it. Like, this is what I was created. And that was my hardest fight to date as a pro. And I ended up winning a unanimous decision. Like, you know, it was fight of the night. Like, it was a great fight. But I just remember that being a turning point in my career where I left that fight and I knew that I was created to be a world champion. Like, I knew if that is what is brought out of me in the ring, like, oh, this confirms everything that I know about myself and who God created me to be.
That was that moment.
Great story.
It really was. And like I said, now we're really good friends. Like, I love Seta. That's her name, Seta Batube. And, you know, she's helped me. My first small title, the UBO super lightweight world title that I won in 2024. Like, she helped me prepare for that. Like, it was just so cool to then, like, be able to connect. And that goes back to just how women support women. Like, we had just, you know, tried to beat each other's faces in. And now we're, like, really good friends. It's like, we actually want to help each other grow.
No doubt. That's why. I mean, that's how it is in all sports. I know, like in football, we try to knock each other's heads off, but we best buds outside. Like, yeah, I got you. Yeah, stuff like that. We talk smack to each other, stuff like that. You know, you girls, like, we just try. Well, you know, already they think of women trying to knock each other's heads off. Women aren't supposed to do that. It's supposed to be soft and feminine.
Yeah, we're supposed to be like whatever.
Yeah, and then now you guys are trying to beat each other's heads off. Then you're like, all right, girl, let's go shopping. Like, you know, after that.
Blake, you always talk. Blake mentioned that previously. He always mentioned and he always asks athletes, when was that moment, where it just clicked? And it seems like that was the moment for you.
We all have it. Like I said, she's
Yeah.
We all
boxing.
have
That's football. Football, you have that moment. You be like, yeah, this is it. This is what I want to do. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. That was definitely my moment as a pro.
Yeah.
But I will say my actual moment in boxing goes back to the first time I ever sparred. And so I'm 12 years old, and I did not want to box at all. I was super reluctant. My brother got me, my younger brother, I'm the oldest of three. He got me into boxing because he fell in love with the Rocky movies.
Yeah,
So
there you go.
Who doesn't, right?
Is that right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So he started boxing when he was 6. Like, long story short, he's boxing for a couple years. I'm in the gym watching him, but I play basketball and softball, like the conventional sports. And my parents are like, you're here all the time. Like, might as well try it. And I'm like, okay, like that's a little manly for me, but okay. Like, I hearing this come out of my mouth now, I'm like, who even is that person? But in my mind, as a 12-year-old, I'm like, I don't know, like, don't know how that's gonna go. So my competitive side took over. I'm sparring this guy, the girls in the gym, and we're just using the jab just to see how I react to getting hit. And, I'm like, well, I don't like this, but like I can take it, and whatever. And then I rear back and I pop his head back, and it snaps back. His eyes get wide. He goes, "Oh shoot!" Like it audibly comes out of his mouth, and
I
I'm
just
like,
got
"Oh,
pop.
this is literally what I was created to do. Like I'm quitting everything. Like let's do this for the rest of my life."
Right. That's good.
I know Claressa. She's been boxing guys since she was little. That's crazy. That
Yep.
went around the same time where everybody was trying to post that clip where she got put down by the guy. She's like, it's part of the game, getting put on my backside. I'm fighting a
Right.
man. You know what I'm saying?
It's like, how many times do you think that the guys get dropped by the guys? Like, are you serious? I've seen it multiple times. Like, where are those clips?
Exactly.
Well, everybody wants to take that shot. I mean, when you're at the top, it comes with the territory. And everybody's in your life. And like I said, everybody loves the drama. Of course, her, Papoose, and all that. I'm not even going to talk about that mess. But I would say that everybody wants to talk about the drama. Nobody wants to talk about the other stuff because it's not entertaining.
They know nothing about.
There you go.
Everybody's got opinions on everything. They're experts in everything. So whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of fights, you have a big one coming up, July 26th.
Yep. July 26th.
Training camp. You ready?
I feel more ready than I ever have, actually. Like, everybody says that, like, of course. Like, what have I been doing for the past 12 weeks? Like, yes, I feel ready, but it's like, I feel like so overly prepared that I just already see what's going to happen, and now all I have to do is step into it.
That part, like I said, you ready. You know if you're ready. You know you're there. Obviously, your camp got you ready for it. You find your person in the training. That we call it in football, we call it showcase. You have somebody in your camp, that can mimic the fighter you're boxing, and you get kind of ready for it, what they might do, tendencies, blase. That's part of camps. That's why we like to talk about this because people don't think boxing is a camp. Don't they just go in there and throw a punch? No, man, you got to prepare for your fighter. You got to watch tape. Who was that we were talking about? Mark Robertson, right? Where he said they watch his tape, Sully. He said he could tell what this guy does when he dips his head. He said, what do they call him? The doctor? What was his nickname, Sully? The doctor?
Yeah, the mad scientist.
Mad scientist. Because you should talk to him, man. Like, the way he watches film, he can pick up on tendencies of boxers like no others.
Yeah, that's how I feel. I'm working with Coach John David Jackson now. So the same coach that Claressa has, and that's how I feel about him. Like I'll watch film and we'll watch it together, but when he's watching it on his own and then what he puts into training, I'm like, whoa! I call him like Mr. Miyagi.
There you go. Yeah, wax on, wax off. There you go. Yeah. You need people like that. You need people like that in your corner because they can see things that sometimes that you don't see. And that's how, like you mentioned, Mark Blake. Mark is like that. Mark Robinson, he trains here in Philly, the same gym that Stasia Suttles trains at. So he actually works with her too. He works with Stacia of Stasia. But he's the ultimate film guy, you know. Those little tendencies that fighters do, he's gonna or she's gonna do this before she throw her jab, or she's gonna dip down to the right before she throw a hook. Like things like that, you need those people in your camp to see
Oh
the
yeah,
things that you don't see.
right.
And
Yeah,
the thing,
I was just talking to coach last night. I'm like, you don't get hit. I'm the one that gets hit, but like you are just as much a part of this as I am. Like, like you are the reason why I hopefully don't get hit though. Like,
that,
It's
that,
easy
that
from this side. It's easy
yeah,
from this side to yell the
right,
instructions, of course.
as your eyes closed, you said she wasn't going to do that. You said that.
right,
Now look at me. Just kidding.
right.
But yeah, and the thing is, you gotta be coachable, man. You gotta be coachable. You gotta take constructive criticism. Like I said, it's just being an athlete and things like that.
Yeah.
We love to see this, and we hope to follow your journey this whole time.
Yes.
Hope speaking into existence, you're gonna go on to be 12-0, and then hopefully
Yep.
get you some of the heavy hitters. I mean, I'll put it out there. Who do you want to fight with the belt right now? Who you want, Baumgartner? Who you want?
Well, like I said, Katie Taylor's the one that has the
Katie
belt
Taylor.
in my weight class. I'm
Yep.
actually number 4 in the world, so the only people that are ahead of me are Amanda, Katie, and Chantel Cameron.
Yes.
So
Yes.
depending on what happens next weekend, on Friday, this coming Friday, between Amanda and Katie, I think we'll kind of determine what's going to happen with the belts, whether or not Katie retires. There's a lot of different speculations. I don't know, but I'm preparing for July 26th because that is going to set me up for what's next
Right. Right.
in the weight class. But like I said, whoever ends up with the belt, it's going to be me. So
Oh.
I just need to pay attention to who I'm going to be fighting for those belts that are mine.
Yeah,
There you
you're
go.
right. You're right. It's one step at a time. You're right.
One
This
step
is.
at a time.
We didn't bring it up, but I don't know. We just talk. We know we talk about women. We can talk about women's boxing all day. But who do you like in the men's side? There's so much drama over there right now. Like, who do you like on the? I don't know if you follow it much. I mean, who do you really follow? And we'll
I
go
do.
from there.
I do. I really like. I mean, this is a huge fight that's coming up. I really like Terrence Crawford.
Okay.
I think we were talking about coaches breaking down film, and I think that Terrence does a good job of that, breaking his opponent down
Yeah.
in the fight. I think that he does a good job of adjusting. I do think that Canelo is a big feat ahead of him. Because I also like Canelo. Like it's kind of one of those things. Like who do I like more that night? like,
Right.
it's gonna be a really good fight. I like both of them.
Yep.
I think that that is something that I think women's boxing does a good job of, is putting on fights like that. Like we
Yeah.
will
Yeah.
fight whoever. So I think it's cool to see the men starting to do more of that. Like it historically has always been. Like the best fights
Mhm.
best. So I think that's going to be really good for boxing. A good fight. He just retired, but my favorite fighter used to be Vasily Lomachenko. I just think that he's super humble. I don't just look at fighters in the ring. Like I want to see who you are as a person. How do you hold yourself? And so I think that he had a lot of integrity and humility. I thought that he was a great champion and also very talented. Like there's nobody that I've seen have the footwork that he has just to be
Right.
able to dance. I always used to be like, why are his opponents letting him literally dance all the way around them? Like he would
Yeah.
turn them all the way around. And
Movement.
how does he do that? He's a wizard.
Yeah.
So that it was really fun to watch him fight. And I like Usyk because actually I started following him because I knew that he was really good friends with Lomachenko. So I think that
Mhm.
he's a fun fighter to watch. I think he's
Right.
unorthodox
Yeah.
in and out of the ring.
Right.
Yeah.
So
That's crazy because Bud can switch hands too anytime he wants to. He could go south.
I know.
He could go either
I know
side.
he just has so much in his arsenal. I just, we'll see how he responds to the weight difference. But I mean, he looks big. Like I think he's really
Mhm.
preparing. We're both sponsored by Snack, which is Victor Conti's nutrition
Yeah.
line, and it seems like he he's always prepared, but it just seems like they are preparing him for that weight difference, to gain that extra weight for the power and to be able to endure. So yeah, I'm really excited to see, because I know Canelo is super strong. Like
Yeah.
I think, like I said, I think it's going to be a really great fight.
You know the Mexican fighters, boy. You know they can fight. They never count
Oh
Mexican
yeah,
fighters
oh
out.
yeah,
Never count Mexican fighters out.
never.
And you know, Canelo's got such a resume, and that's what we're kind of getting on Bud for. He's talking about who he fought. You know, and you mentioned that about you wanting to fight the best and stuff like that. Do you see the women? You guys don't do that. I applaud y'all. Y'all say you want the smoke, we gonna break it. Now the men, me and Sully talk about who was that? Was that Jim? Oh, I can't remember who was it. No, it was Blair that talked about this. Everybody was talking. Everybody was more concerned about the, as he put it, the and O category.
Yeah.
They're not exactly into the fight. They're into the and O. He says so. You'll fight these. I won't call people scrubs. I'll call them B and C list fighters instead of fighting the A list fighters. What do you think about that? Obviously, women don't have that problem.
I think that's a problem. I think that maybe you can't really put the blame on anybody, I guess, but the Floyd Mayweather kind of mentality of I want to retire undefeated. That was his own thing. Like, for us to take that and run with it, like, that was on us. So the way that we kind of changed boxing because of it, I don't think you can necessarily put that on him, but it definitely is an issue, because even for me, like, if I see somebody lose, I'm like, oh, dang, that really sucks for them. Like, they might have just ruined their career. But that's not the case.
Wow.
And I think that women's boxing is actually starting to change that a little bit, because we were like, I just think of Michaela Mayer. Like, she lost twice. And now look at her. Like, she's still, like, top in the whole sport. And so I think that, when she lost to Baumgartner, that wasn't the end all be all. Like, she could bounce back, and she did. But then when she lost to Jonas, everybody's like, "Dang, is she now just the gatekeeper of this, next level?" No, like, she really was able to prove that that's not the case. She's still very much so in it. She's gonna eventually end up going for undisputed. Like, I think that was really huge for the sport, and that's not just one example. And so I think that's just really encouraging for people like me too, who are like entering into that like next elite level. To where I'm like, no, I want to fight the best to show that I'm the best and I'm going to beat the best. But like, it helps the people that are coming up like me and even under me to know, like, we want to fight the best to show that women are the best, not just to try to protect this, like you said, like like no, that doesn't make or break you as a fighter.
At the end of the day, you still got to win the fights. But and like Blair said, he says Floyd ruined boxing. Like I said, you can't blame Floyd, because, as I said earlier, that was his journey. That was his journey, and that was it. Like you said, it's everybody else's choice if they want to follow suit. Of course, everybody wants to be undefeated and never take an L. That would be everybody's ultimate story. But at the end of the day, we don't look down on any boxer if you took a loss, especially if you fought the best talent in your era. Absolutely, we won't look down on you.
Yeah, well, I do think, like, and to add on to what I said, I do think that you are calculated. You don't just jump into the fights that you're not ready for. Like, 100%. Like, you could change this and kind of pervert it and be like, oh, well, I'm gonna fight the number one right out the gate. Like, no, okay. Like, you still want to gain experience. You still want to learn. I think that it is smart to like take it slower, quote unquote, in the beginning, as far as like wherever your level is. That's why you have good coaches, and you get connected with good promoters and matchmakers. Like, that's on you to be managed well and to be smart. However, like, you will know ultimately, based on the team that's surrounding you and knowing yourself, when you're ready for that next level. And that's when it's like, okay, you need to go. Like, you shouldn't just be like waiting around because you're scared of losing the O. Like, I think that's the issue. It's like not putting on those good fights and not taking that next step because you're afraid. Like, that's where the issue comes in.
Definitely. Yes. I agree with that.
I agree.
So we ain't gonna keep you too much longer. Sula, you got anything for any final things before I ask my final question?
Yeah, Salida. Talk to us about your relationship with Salida. Promotion. He's a friend. He's a friend. We
Um,
always run into each other at the WBA convention.
oh yeah.
We always
Oh,
run into each other at
that's
WBA. So
interesting
he
because I'm
knows
about to
about
get the
us.
WBA title. That's awesome.
Yeah, we seen that. The intern
Yeah,
champion. Yeah,
yep.
that's good. That's a good organization to be a part of.
Yeah, I'm so excited. So yeah, I have a really great relationship with Dimitri, and it's because of Claressa, obviously. I'm the way that it works is they're doing a co-promotion. So T-Rex Promotions with Claressa is my promoter, and then Salida does a co-promotion as she is just getting started and building up her promotion. So he is a co-promoter of me, and I've been talking to him since I think we started talking when I was 2-0. And he has also been
Mhm.
encouraging in my career and how I build it up. Like, okay, here's the next benchmark goal. Like, he's helped me be able to set these like shorter term goals for myself.
Mhm.
As we get closer to the long term goal of
Right.
being undisputed. And so that's been really cool. Him allowing me through Claressa. I mean, Claressa is the main person that, she gets the credit, but he has helped to
Right.
facilitate a lot of these all of the opportunities that I have had under them both, and allowing me to fight on
Okay.
Claressa's cards have been incredible exposure for me. And just, a way for me to learn how it is here at the top. And, getting to fight on the main card July 26th under Claressa, that's going to be
Yeah.
incredible. Because it's not my first DAZN pay-per-view fight, but it's the first one on this level, so I'm really
Yay.
excited. I can't
Yes,
wait.
yes.
So yeah, it's
Congratulations.
I'm thankful for Dimitri.
Definitely.
Yeah,
That's what's
tell
up.
him we said hello. Yeah, he's a good
I
friend.
will.
Tell him Philly Fight World said hello.
I will.
Go ahead, Blake. You got anything?
Yeah, I gotta ask this one. I ask it every time. And that
Okay.
she's in Clarissa's camp too. I gotta ask this question. Because she's at the edge of her seat. Hey, will we ever see a Claressa Shields Serrano fight? I would love. Have they ever talked about that? I mean, are you allowed to say? I would love to see this fight.
Well, so back to what you're asking about their beef. That's why it confuses me. Um, you know, Claressa, she allows me to be privy to some certain sensitive information, but not everything. But that to me is the one thing that I'm confused about. I'm like, Amanda, you are constantly talking about how in these fights with Katie, you're the smaller fighter. She's in my weight class. She came up to my weight class, 140, but she's a true 126.
Yeah.
And that's what she has said, both losses. They were controversial. I'm not saying it was a close fight. Like, we don't even need to get into that.
Mm-hmm.
But because she took the L, that was one of the things that she said was, well, I am a smaller fighter. That's true. Like, that I'm not saying that that's not true. She did come up to.
Well, she might be getting a call.
Yeah, she getting a call. But yeah,
Yeah.
she said that, and it was what was it, the headbutts. I think she said, I think Katie, I think Amanda was saying that she was headbutting in that match. I don't know if you remember that fight, Sully. It was
Yep.
a headbutts in there, I think, because I think Serrano took
Yeah,
a
she
couple
took
of
a
cuts
bad
over
cut.
her eyes.
Yep.
It was cuts over her eyes. I'm gonna just drop her out. She probably got a phone call.
Yep.
Yeah, it was. I remember that it was the cuts over her eyes, and they really felt like they won that fight. I think most of social media felt like Amanda won that fight. Like whatever the judges saw, what they saw, they picked what they picked.
Mm-hmm.
It is what it is. That's why they've got the rematch. Both girls are friends still. They're close, Katie and Amanda. And I think they did like a whole. I think they did a whole promotion thing with. I don't know if you ever saw the movie. What was it called? The Old Guard or something like that. They switched the gloves for the swords. I don't know if you ever saw that. But yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
the good thing is Sammy is more of her weight, so Claressa could sick her on.
Get him. What was that movie with Jet Li where he said, "Get him"? You know what I'm saying?
There you go, man. She
All right,
can go there and get that.
Hold on, I'll bring you back, Sammy. Hold on. I forgot about that. Yeah, she just be like, get him.
Yo, no,
Get
here's
'em.
what happened. I'm in Atlanta and my phone just overheated. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a spot for it.
I'm in between training sessions, so I'm like sitting outside the gym just waiting, until I have to train again. And then, yep, my temperature is like whatever, a warning.
Hot Atlanta. Yeah, that's hot Atlanta down there. We know. I've been there.
And the funny thing is that my ring name is the Heat. And so
The Heat?
Sammy the Heat. We know. Yeah, bring that heat.
It must have been that question I asked. It went out too. I asked it.
I know. I was literally thinking, like, dang, they're not supposed to know the answer.
That'd be cold. That'd be cold.
Listen, me and Blake was just talking about the question with the fight and everything. I said, listen, I said, Claressa could just sick you on her.
Yeah,
you
so
closer to the weight class. That's a fight we want to see right there.
Honestly, that's where I was heading with that.
Oh, that's what you were segueing into?
I don't know if their fight will ever happen, just because of the weight issue. But
Right.
Claressa, she always says to me, she's like, "But I got somebody for him."
There you go. Listen,
She said you ain't got to
you
get
win
ready
this WBA. You win this WBA interim world champion fight. That puts you right there.
Yep.
That puts you right there.
I'm sure they've talked about it, but like you said, the weight, and then like you said, Katie was the bigger fighter. Didn't they have the same thing? Didn't Cyborg spar her or something like that? And Cyborg was talking about weight. Did you see that fight?
Yeah. With Claressa.
Yeah, and Cyborg.
Yeah, I saw. Cyborg was saying, we should fight to this and that and that. Claressa, she's always saying, like, okay, like, here's the weight that I'll fight at. Like, I just came up to 175. Like, these girls, they don't, like, think. I don't think. Like, use your brain, do the math. And I feel like, I don't know if that fight, I honestly, I'm being so honest, I don't know. I know that that's not the fights that are coming up next, just because of, some of the plans that are in place for the rest of the year. But I don't know, like, if that will ever happen, where Claressa is with that, where Cyborg and Serrano and all of them are on those. But I just think that, Claressa's at the top, and everybody wants to fight the person at the top. Whether it makes sense or not, they're going to put their name in that hat. Yeah. And so, good for them. It gets people talking about them. So there you go.
Nah, Claressa got some stuff in the arsenal. She got a secret weapon that she can use.
What do you call it? The weapon. We're gonna change the name to the weapon. We're gonna change from the Heat. It's the weapon now.
We all for it. We are all for it. We are all for seeing it.
We're all for it.
Me too.
Y'all heard. And when it happened, I'm gonna save this clip. I'm like, we talked about this right here.
I remember.
Yeah, we talked about this right here. We want all the smoke.
All of it.
There you go.
But but that's all the question I had. I had to ask it. Of course, Sammy, give us everything you got going on again. The fights, who's sponsoring you, and like I said, I'll put all that. I think you have all that on your page, right?
Yeah, I do.
And I'll tag it to the description. So just tell everybody again what you got.
Okay, perfect. I'll be fighting for the WBA Interim World Title on July 26th on Claressa Shields' main card, where she is fighting Lonnie Daniels. There are going to be incredible fights that night. There are 3 huge women's fights. They're all for titles, so you don't want to miss it. It's going to be in Detroit at Little Caesars Arena. You can get tickets on Ticketmaster. You can, I believe that the link is going to be tagged here, but it's also on my page at Sammy_the Heat. So it's all live on DAZN. Do not miss it. It's going to be an exciting, explosive, I am hearing powerful night of boxing. So don't miss it.
Yeah, we look forward to watching you. We look forward to watching. We'll be tuned in.
Thank you.
Be tuned in. And then we'll talk. We always do what we always do. Talk about post fights of what we thought, how everybody looked and stuff like that. And so we always do that every time after a weekend of
Nice.
fighting.
I can't wait to hear the celebration.
Yeah, right. It will be.
Yes.
I like that girl. There she goes. Weapon. I mean the heat.
The heat. I'm gonna bring the heat to Detroit. There's a heat wave.
There's a heat wave
The
coming.
heat/weapon. The heat/weapon.
weapon.
That's you.
Heat/weapon.
Weapon.
Secret weapon.
Secret weapon.
So we'll wrap this up and we'll end this as we always do. It ain't as hard as you can hit. It's as hard as you can get hit. I'm Blake Anthony. This is DJ Sully, and this is one and only the Sammy, the Heat/weapon, Worthington, aka Miss Kentucky. And we'll get up out of here. And James Tony, take us home.
Yo, this is James Lights Out Tony, the one and only. You are tuning into Philly Fight World. You see me?